The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Welcome to LSRTV tonight as we bring you the Bootleg Racing League's round number 4 from the Outlaw Modified Series live here for the ASPCA 100 at Martinsville Speedway. Myself, Randy Chineth, and Gabe Wood. We will be piercing your eardrums tonight, as it's going to be Cisco Scaramouza bringing you all the action down in that production trailer. And Gabe, it's been an exciting first 3 rounds for these modifieds in this Bootleg Racing League. A lot of exciting action at all 3 of our first tracks of Langley, Oxford, and Lucas Oil.
Yep, so far through the 2018 season, 3 races, 3 different winners. Tim Shanoski took race number 1 in the ASPCA 100 at Langley Speedway. J.R. Shepard, your points leader, took the win at Oxford Plains. And last week, the Lucas Oil Speedway, Dustin Powers walked away with the victory. And that's going to put J.R. Shepard in the points lead with Brian Dean 5 points back, along with Mike Holloway and Stefan Alphonse. So it's a tight, close battle for the first through 4th. And back to 5th, only 1 point lower, 6 points back, Donnie Moore, John Holcomb, Matt Shanoski, and Dustin Powers. Top 10 really separated by 9 points. So it's going to be a tight fight for the championship.
Yeah, a lot of ties in there, and this format, we talked about it last week, is going to cause these championships to be so very, very tight. But let's talk a little bit, of course, around this Martinsville Speedway. Notice the paperclip. Everyone should be familiar with this place. See it on that NASCAR Monster Energy Cup series, and really it's been part of NASCAR history for many, many years now. And one of the things that, for me, Gabe, that's always going to be so interesting about this track is I think this is going to be the flattest track we've come to. Only 13 degrees of banking in the corners. Some of the big tracks these guys will go on, they'll have the front straightaways that are banked more steeper than that.
Yeah, Martinsville Speedway is one of those tracks, along with New Hampshire and Bristol, that are kind of the big races on the Wheel and Modified schedule for the actual Wheel and Modified East Series. Those guys, they want to win tracks. They want to win all across the schedule to get the overall points win. But when you come to races like Martinsville, you want to win here because of the history. It's one of the oldest tracks on the schedule. It's actually been in NASCAR since the beginning in 1948. So these guys, they all want to win here. And guy looking to take over the points lead and to take over here at Martinsville is Tim Shanoski, because he's practiced at over half a tenth faster than Stefan Alphonse in the 13 machine. Tim Shanoski practiced right now in happy hour with a 19.57 flat.
Tim Shanoski, of course, won that opening race, the ASPCA 100 at Langley, just a few weeks ago. And I don't think we've seen Tim very much in these runs. I know we've seen his brothers, another Shanoski, Matt Shanoski, runs. He's currently logged somewhere around 10th right now on the timesheet in that 00. But I don't think we've seen much of Tim Shanoski the last couple weeks since winning that race out at Langley. So it'll be very interesting to see what that 07 can do, Gabe, coming back here in this one, because I believe he's going to be starting pretty deep down the order.
Yeah, but it's going to put him... It's actually put him outside the top 10 in points. Right now he's 12th, 11 points back, so he's got some time to make up. But if one driver can do it, it's Tim Shanoski, who we saw fight from about the 4th or 5th starting position in Langley to take the victory. But here at Martinsville, it's completely different. But it's also... Right, it's going to be interesting. It's almost like a Talladega here because these straightaways are pretty long. These guys, they keep the speed up because of the weight and the tires on these cars. They get up to about 100 miles an hour. We're actually going to watch Ryan Detzler. I'm looking at him on track. It's car number 2, currently 14th position. His practice is now over. They only lose about 20 miles an hour through the corners, so it's you never really think of Martinsville as a momentum racetrack, but it's one thing you're going to have to look out for is to keep your speed up and kind of start getting in a rhythm. But that's kind of hard to do with about 20 other guys on the racetrack.
So 20 minutes now done, and we are now going to set the grid here at 340 Speedway Road in Ridgeway, Virginia, and go down your starting grid. As always in this series, the Outlaw Modified Series, very, very unique starting order. They do not qualify. They do grid inversions from the last race, so the top 10 will be inverted on back. So let's go down your starting grid right now for round number 4, the ASPCA 100. Kurt Smith, he's going to take the pole here tonight, starting on the outside of him with the 87 of Todd Liston. Greg Stafford will be 3rd, Jeff Sharp 4th, and Kenny Kibbe, he'll round out your top 5.
League admin Lowell Jewell starts in the 6th position. J.R. Shepard, your points, and will roll off in 7th. Second in points, Stefan Alphonse rolls off in 8th, so that'll be a nice tight points battle. Brian Dean in 9th, and Dustin Powers round out your top 10.
Matt Chinosky, he's going to roll off 11th. Mike Allen 12th. Donnie Moore in that 26 car, we saw a big race from him last week. Unfortunately, didn't end up finishing the way he'd like. Ended up getting in an incident and finished deep down the order. Ryan Detzler will start 14th, and Charles Lahr, he'll round out your top 15.
16th, John Holcomb, Eric Nordhoff, Chip Deckard, Matt LaVenture in 19th, Jeff Hendrick in 20th. Rounding out your field, Mike Holloway, Tim Chinosky. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. Randy, I didn't even notice he was starting almost dead last. So yeah, it's going to be one heck of a race and one heck of a challenge for him to get up front, especially being the fastest car. In 23rd, rounding out your field is James Lowe in the 03 machine.
So 21 cars in front of that 07 machine, but he was the quickest in practice, so let's just see what they can do with it as they take off for their first time around this racetrack of 2. Actually, one thing I just noticed, 6 machine of Kurt Smith did not take the grid, so it's going to be that 88 of Greg Stafford who rolls off from that 3rd spot. He'll technically be the pole sitter here on this one on that inside line. It's going to be the one to go symbol here now, and I just have to ask you, how many spots do you think Tim Chinosky is going to pick up? If you're a gamble man, Gabe, what's the magic number you would pick?
I'd say he's going to pick up 3 positions on the first lap. I'll say that. He's already picked up 1 because the pole sitter did not grid, and he unfortunately looks like he's actually not even going to make the start. So Kurt Smith, that'll be 1 position, but I think he'll make up a few here. But it's just so tough here at Martinsville as they come off of turn number 4 to take the green flag.
All right, the safety car to the safety of pit road, and Greg Stafford wastes no time getting on that throttle pedal as we are green here in the ASPCA 100, down in towards corners number 1 and 2 for the first time tonight. Greg Stafford's the only one who's clear as they're wheel to wheel up and down this entire field. Kenny Kibbe, he's just about clear from Todd Liston down towards this back straightaway. Todd gets a little bit of a hiccup, not sure what happened, but he's forced to the ultra high groove. We might see 3 wide. No, everyone's gonna be patient, and it's still 2 by 2, but that's a big mistake from Liston that dropped in a few spots back. Oh, he gets a shot.
Hangs on to it, coming off of turn number 2. One more car around. Looks like the 59 machine on Mike Allen. Big checkup on the back straightaway. Caution is out here on lap number 2. Looks like involving him, the 25 machine, the 4 of Charles Lahr. But a couple of drivers taken out already on the back straightaway. One car got sideways. Everybody started piling in. You're going to look at the replay of that. Big hit for the 59 machine as they came off of turn number 2. It looks like the 25 checked up. The 59 never saw it and plowed into the back of him. The 25 machine of Dustin Powers just kind of went sideways, collecting guys like the 22 machine, 31 Mike Holloway, Eric Nordhoff. Looks like the 03 James Lowe also taken out in that, and Tim Chinosky also taken out in that. Not much damage on the 07 machine, but still he's going to have that one fast repair, but do you want to use it this early in a race at Martinsville?
That's really the big question here, just as I'm taking another look at that. It all started from the out in front from Todd Liston getting that little bit of a tap. That's what caused the checkup up top, and that 25 machine of Dustin Powers, race winner from last week. He checked up, and like Gabe just said, gotten into the back. Got hit from behind by that 59 car, who I don't think had a clear view of what was happening in front of him. Not much he could really do with that one as we come under caution really quickly here in this one. And like you said, Gabe, a lot of bent up race cars after that incident. I think most guys going to opt to take that fast quick repair here. I'm not sure if Chinosky did. Chinosky definitely did, as everyone's still getting themselves back out on the racetrack.
Side note on the 03 machine of James Lowe, he's running in the 15th position, so he is not going to elect to come down to pit road to fix any of that damage, along with Tim Chinosky. So pretty durable cars. It looks like you wouldn't think of it from being open wheel, but these guys get into the wall. It's definitely going to screw up the alignment on these cars, knock the toe out. But it looked like the Nerf bars did their job, and they're going to keep running here. But James Lowe, he's a brand new driver, started dead last, and that's the rule that they have. new drivers to the series have to start dead last, so he's doing a good job avoiding some wrecks and getting up into the top 15 already. So going to come by the start-finish line now. Should be at the 2 to go this time by Randy. Do want to take time to mention that this is the Bootleg Racing League. You can find them at bootlegracing.com or on Facebook at Bootleg Racing League. They've got a couple of different series coming in March of 2018. They're going to be having a mini stock series. They have the street stock series open to all D-Class and above iRacers. And there is going to be a waiting list, so a lot of guys racing that one. They get the limited late model series, also open to D-Class drivers. They have a waiting list, and this invitational series, along with the super late model series. So 2 invitational series, the Outlaw modified series and super late model series. So if you want to get on board, you may want to check them out at bootlegracing.com.
A lot of fun short track American style racing coming at you. The dirt stuff has definitely taken a lot of the momentum from a lot of these series, but good to see some of these guys still running the asphalt and still waving that black pavement flag. Pace car lights are out, field is stacked up, safety car comes on towards pit road, and Greg Stafford is going to take us back to green here in this ASPCA 100 off of corner number 4 here on lap number 7 here, and he gets on it. JR Shepard from behind is super aggressive on the start, didn't get it right. Because of that, 88 machine is a big margin in towards 1 and 2 for the first time. The 14 car still running in the second spot of Kenny Kibbe. He's going to have to deal with that 98 of JR Shepard because JR did a good job of slotting himself down low but didn't maintain the run off down that back straightaway. Let's see, can we get through 3 and 4 clean this time? See a couple cars offline, but I think we're good as we cross the stripe.
J.R. Shepard moves up into the 3rd spot, started 7th. Now he's on the back bumper of the 14 machine.
Oh, your race leader gets the wall. 88 of Greg Stafford starting to interrupt you, and J.R. Shepard gets into it.
Around.
A lot of cars get caught up in that one here as we got a lot of cars around here on this one. J.R. Shepard involved. What caused this one, Gabe?
Gonna have to look back at it. Caution is out here. Looked like your leader checked up and the 89 machine tried to get around, but he ended up hooking the right front tire on the 14 machine of Kenny Kibbe. That sent him around in the 23 machine. It looked like a Brian Diaz, so that takes out 2 drivers inside the top 10 in points. Along with it looks like the 73 machine of Jeff Sharp, and the 00 got a little bit of hit from that the other Shinosky brother. That would be Matt Shinosky in the 00 machine, but J.R. Shepard taken out, and the engine is blown on that 98 machine, so he's going to have to come to pit road and definitely take a fast repair.
Trying to figure out what happened to that 88 of Greg Stafford because there's never really a moment through 1 and 2 that he'd made a really big mistake. I expected to see him hit the curb or get scary loose, but I think he just get a little bit too antsy, picked up that throttle way too early, and really no other way to say it. Greg just drove that car into the outside wall, and 14 machine of Kenny Kibbe did the best he could to avoid, and J.R. Shepard, unfortunately for him, nowhere to go. That's a big stack up in the front of your field. Still going to have some quick repairs available, and well, that 98 car, he's going to be thankful for that, as that is the quickest motor change I've ever seen. I think the NHRA should be keen on getting the pit guys that we have here dishing out these instant resets.
Now, how bad of the damage is, or how bad of damage does that 88 machine of Greg Stafford have? Because we've seen how sensitive these cars are when they put them up into the outside wall. So how bad is the toe going to be knocked out on the 88 machine? There are some ill-driving race cars out there if you get a little bit of damage on these modifieds. So if Greg Stafford, he's going to be on the inside lane, so that's going to check up a lot of guys. This may be the chance that Stefan Alphonse needs, especially with J.R. Shepard starting now 18th. It looks like he's going to restart there with a brand new car. He's going to have a lot of work to do. It looks like Mike Allen is going to get waved around a pace car. This might be the chance for guys starting on the outside lane like Todd Liston and Stefan Alphonse in the 13 machine to take advantage.
I'll say the one thing for that 88 machine, and really for all those damaged race cars we have out there, Gabe, is that this is early runnings. I actually think that right here, right now, is when you would want to take that repair, because when I think of being out there in a damaged race car, I think of 2 things. One, that car is going to handle a little weird, and I'm also thinking tire wear. As always, no tire changing allowed in this series. If the car gets jacked up, you either have to call it off the racetrack completely, or you take a suspension into the next round. We haven't seen that yet this season. Well, we saw a car get jacked up, I believe, at Oxford, but we haven't seen any suspensions dished out from that. But I don't think I'd want to have a car with tweaked suspension, tweaked alignment going with this far in the race left. That's going to make things very, very tricky on that tire wear.
They come out of turn number 2. Lights are out atop the Ford Mustang iRacing pace car, so it's going to come down to pit road this time by front row. It's going to be the same. It's going to be Greg Stafford, Stefan Alphonse on the outside lane. Kenny Kibbe now back to third, and Todd Liston in fourth. As they come off of turn number 4, they're going to give the American Ethanol green flag. 88 machine hits the loud pedal, takes off into turn number 1. Now, how bad is the damage going to be? As the 13 machine of Stefan Alphonse, he catches him getting into turn number 1. As they come on to turn number 2, car doesn't seem to be handling too bad. Gets a little bit loose. They're side by side for third.
A lot of wheel-to-wheel action up and down your field is what you expect to have here at Martinsville on the starts. Kenny Kibbe dealing with Todd Liston for that third spot off of corner number 4, down your front straightaway here and in towards 1 and 2. The 87 machine, we see him struggle up top a couple times. You see that air cleaner just on that hood, a little bit bent on that 87 machine, and Kibbe's going to take that third spot, and now it's going to be Donnie Moore. He tossed his hat in the ring on Todd Liston. He's going to get that spot, and Todd immediately gets himself down to the inside, wanting to get himself on the groove. Now, next fight is wheel-to-wheel. That's the 73 in the 00. Matt Shinosky and Jeff Sharp. Sharp up top, fighting with Shinosky in the 00. That bottom groove looks quick right now.
Oh, it's always quick around here in Martinsville. There's some instances where you can keep it running around the outside. Look at the run the 73 machine of Jeff Sharp got. He's going to actually pull even on the outside lane, so he's doing a great job trying to hang on Matt Shinosky in that 00 machine. He's going to go into turn number 1. He's going to break a little bit later. Can he get slotted back behind that 00 machine? He's got the room. Question is, does he maybe think that he has the car and the ability to drive around him on the outside? Next battle is going to be on the racetrack is going to be for the 11th position between Matt LaVenture and James Lowe, newcomer to the series, already making some moves, now up to 12. As they cross the start-finish line on to lap number 19. Right behind him is Mike Holloway and Tim Shinosky. Started 22nd, now up to 14th after early damage. So he's trying to just kind of work his way methodically up front. He was the fastest driver in practice, as all these guys now single file out.
Two of our drivers who started deep in this field, both James Lowe and Tim Shinosky, are working their way up towards the top 10. That 03 car has a lot of damage after starting so deep down the field. I do want to keep an eye on this front fight, though, because that 88 car, I don't know if it's the 88 or the 13, it's sort of hard to tell, but the lines they're running are a little bit weird. You watch Greg Stafford, I don't know if he's being overly defensive. You see way up the racetrack here in 1 and 2, and Stefan Alphonse sort of followed him. That's going to allow that gap to come down now, and in towards 3, Stefan is going to throw that car up the inside a little bit. Nothing there, though. Wasn't nearly close enough, but he's just doing a good job harassing that mirror of Greg Stafford. But I think that 88 car, Gabe, I don't think it's handling quite as well as he'd like, because he's running, I think, a little bit higher up the racetrack than you'd normally like, struggling getting those left side tires down against that yellow curve that you see at this Martinsville Raceway.
Yeah, you run hundreds of laps with the car running perfect, and all of a sudden at lap number 10 you add some damage into the equation, and all of a sudden the car does not drive anywhere near how it felt. So he's having to really relearn how to drive that car. He's still running the outside lane. This may be the chance Stefan Alphonse was looking for as they go into turn number 3. He's going to show the nose. That's all he needs to do. And look at here, look at the big mistake from the 88 machine coming into turn number 3. Lost it. They're going to be door to door going into turn number 1 at start finish line. Greg Stafford had the lead, and right as the 13 tries to make the lead, take the lead, caution is out.
This is James Lowe. We just talked about him, the newcomer in this series in that 03 car. Who did he get into it with? It was none other than Mike Holloway. The 03 car, a little bit slow. It's sort of a similar situation what we're seeing out front. Race lead, well, the car in front, let's just say, running a little bit too high up the racetrack, and he had to get it slowed down to get it angled off down towards the straightaway, whereas Mike Holloway was all about picking up that throttle. Just a little bit of tap caught the rear of the 03, and that sent him around. So the 31 car going to be frustrated, and I think 03 of James Lowe, he's going to have to somehow, some way come back to this field, and some of the incidents we've seen tonight, Gabe, that's going to be a treacherous gig.
That 31, if he's frustrated, he needs to be frustrated at himself. You just have to kind of learn a little bit of discipline, getting back onto the throttle, realizing, you know, what can I actually gain from getting back to the throttle a little bit earlier, because he didn't have the room on the bottom to actually make that move, so he had no choice but to get into the back of the 03 machine, and it ended up taking them both out. Not a lot of damage, and it looks like the 31 machine did take a tow, as the 03 machine did go 1 lap down, along with Ryan Detzler.
So a couple cars that are currently scored a lap down in this one. We should be getting wave bys here in just a moment, but it's been a pretty physical race, this one, Gabe. The first couple rounds we had in this series were relatively clean. I think we had 2 cautions at Langley and then Oxford Plains. We went we went green to checkers without any cautions. But last week and now this week proving to be a much more physical couple nights as cautions really stacking up.
quarter way through tonight's race here in the ASPCA 100 at Martinsville Speedway. Greg Stafford's led the entire way, started third technically, but your pole sitter of Kurt Smith, the number 6 machine, did not take the green flag. He's run a few laps. He's now out on the racetrack in the 6 machine. Yep, he's now out there on the racetrack, so he is making laps, but Randy, unfortunately, he is 24 laps down. So Greg Stafford, he did start technically on the pole, and he's been leading ever since, but he does have a lot of damage, and we saw the 13 machine of Stefan Alphonse almost make that move, and I think he's going to have a really good shot at it here whenever they get back to green flag racing.
Yeah, I think for Greg Stafford right now, he's really going to be struggling with that damage, and we saw that towards the end of that little run we just had. And like you said, the 13 was all about getting himself into that race lead. Wave by coming around. That's going to be the 2 machine of Ryan Detzler. That'll place him back on the lead lap here in this one. Then we should be going to green flag racing here in the next handful of laps done under this yellow, but still a handful of entertaining drivers. I am actually curious, where's J.R. Shepard currently scored, because he's had a fantastic couple weeks. He won the race, of course, at Oxford Plains, and then he almost came out. He finished second last night at Lucas Oil in the Lions Club 100. He was so close to getting that win with J.R. Shepard, and now he's scored 12th. I don't know if there's enough time to pick up more spots as we got the one to go.
He's going to have to try and figure out how to pick up at least a few spots there from that early crash, but also keep the car clean. So going to come off of turn number 2. Lights are out atop the iRacing.com pace car. It's going to come down to pit road. We're going to get the green flag here on lap number 30 of 100. So 70 laps to go when they take the green flag next time by. Good restart for the 88 machine, but a good restart as well for the 13. He'll be clear of third. So go into turn number 1, the 88 machine has to slow way down to get the car wound up. And the 13 machine is Stefan Alphonse trying to fight along the outside lane. Randy, I'm not exactly sure what his plan is here, but he's going to send it across the top side. What a move from the 13 machine. Can he get the run coming off of turn number 4?
Well, there's his plan.
What a pass on the outside lane here in Martinsville.
That 88 car, you can definitely tell the damage is hurting him, because it's not often you see someone get passed around the outside of Martinsville. Bit of a question mark, but it turned into an exclamation point as he leads through at 3 and 4 and now off towards your front straightaway. I think that might be the first lead change we've seen all season here. There's been a lot of running from green to checkers here from your race leaders typically. So now Stefan Alphonse is going to want to try to do his hardest to break away here as Todd Liston is fighting with Matt Chinaski. Chinaski gives the wall a little bit of a kiss down the back straightaway and in towards 3 and 4. That 87 doesn't look like it's driving right either. Get one car shoved way up the racetrack as well. That is the 18, Matt Leventure. He's now running on that high side of the racetrack. We got a car around exiting corner number 4. Who is that? I think they
looks like the 2 machine of Ryan Detzler. Your free pass recipient just got the free pass under that caution. Looks like he hit the curb coming off of turn number 4 and sent the car into the outside wall. It's a single car incident, but unfortunately that car has been killed.
Yeah, unfortunately for that 2 machine, I think he got a little bit of oversteer or something at the mid corner, because it's like that car bit a little bit better than he expected, and it wasn't very much. It would have just turned that corner a little bit tighter, and it just kissed that little curb. And we've seen in these cars a couple times this season, Gabe, if you kiss the curbs for these tracks that do have a raised curb on the inside, there are a few that do. We saw that at Oxford Plains as well. Those cars do not like kissing that curb. You can sort of clip an apron, but getting that elevated surface, not a good day.
No, in these modifieds, they have pretty much the same suspension as a NASCAR Cup car, but the car is just so low to the ground that if you get up on that curb, it kind of bottoms out the other corner there on the right rear. So you get that left front in the air. It's really big trouble for these modifieds. So Stefan Alphonse, he'll have the chance to start on the inside lane. Now will this spell doom for the 88 machine of Greg Stafford, because he was getting ready to get passed by a couple other cars that were running inside the top 5, because he's got a lot of damage. Now starting on the outside lane, I believe that 88 machine is about to get freight trained on this next restart.
I honestly don't know what I think the 88 machine should do, Gabe, because he's sort of in a situation where I think the car isn't handling very well, and he's going to just stack up a lot of quick race cars behind him, and that's a very, very good way to lose a lot of spots. But I also don't know if it's better to give up all that track position, come down pit road, and get that car repaired. I think that if you wanted to repair, they should have came down about 30 or so laps ago when he initially got that damage. But I think that window of being able to come down, throw that track position away, and then have the time to get it back has pretty much escaped that 88 car.
if I was him, he's still got time because there's 16 drivers on the lead lap. He wouldn't lose that many positions. I don't know, Randy. I do not know. It's kind of a tough decision. If it was anywhere else, you know, somewhere like New Hampshire or something where you could get really past cars, you know, under green flag running, but here in Martinsville, it's a really tough decision. Want to take the time, we got a little bit of a schedule update, or want to get you updated on the schedule. As soon as they leave here, February 3rd, they're going to go to the MDA 100 at the Bull Ring, and then on to Myrtle Beach Speedway, a familiar racetrack here on LSRTV, and then Five Flags Speedway on the 17th, and then the 24th is the JDRF 100 at Southern National Motorsports Park. Then in the month of March, it's going to be South Boston Lanier, and ending the championship, the ASPCA 100 at New Smyrna Speedway. So that will be where we crown our champion. Will it be J.R. Shepherd, or will it be somebody we haven't even talked about yet? Because it's going to be first through 15th, and points are separated by 13, Randy. So into 3 races into this season, it is one tight points battle.
That it is, and it's going to be an expensive month of commentary for me next week as the broadcaster I normally represent. We don't do much commentary around those places, so that's going to be a nice little bit of money exiting my wallet. But the 13 car Stefan Alphonse, he's going to bring us back to green flag racing in the ASPCA 100 here at Martinsville. And he's all sorts of loose into one. It's an individual mistake from Stefan as he's doing a good job of wheeling it. He holds it, but he will not hold the race lead. His caution's out behind. I think Stefan may have just got bailed out, but no one wants to lead this race game.
J.R. Shepherd, I think, is the reason for that caution. Yep, and big damage in turn number 1. Looks like these guys got stacked up as the 18 machine, he drove it in way too hard and ended up hitting the number 5 machine. 98 ended up getting hit from behind. He was the only driver to go around from that, but he got hooked, and it looks like he also hooked the 62 machine along with the 31 of Mike Holloway. They got some damage in turn number 1.
So a lot of bent race cars after that one, and I still want to have another look at what happened to that 13 machine in towards 1 and 2, Gabe, because I don't know what Stefan did. He just got down to the inside of the corner. He had more than enough for the racetrack, and he sort of turned the car in, and I don't know. You don't typically see people drive in from that low on the racetrack. If you actually look, it may be just there is a little bit of a transition as there's a bit of a grit strip down there. I don't know if there's a bump on the super low line or what the deal is, but that 13 car caught a big slide entering 1, and he was just about to throw that race lead away before he got, fortunately for him, bailed out by that yellow.
He may have had a little bit too much rear brake dialed into that thing because he came in there hot, and J.R. Shepherd into the wall. J.R. Shepherd, as the leaders went by, oh, it looked like the steering was destroyed. So he had nowhere to, he couldn't actually pull away from the scene of the accident, so he ended up taking a tow. So that's going to be a big hit in the points for your driver coming into the lead in points coming into the night. That's J.R. Shepherd in the 98.
Now, talking about these points, we talked about it a little bit with Kelly, Gabe, but the one thing that's interesting about this championship is that you're almost going to be guaranteed a tight point situation, because the way they do qualifying and the fact that it is difficult in modifieds to make passes on short tracks like this, you're always going to have a situation where those guys finishing in the mid pack are going to have a good opportunity to have a good points haul the following week when they might start up on that first couple rows. So I think that's what we're seeing here through the first 4 rounds and why we're seeing the points so tight. And I don't think this is just a sequence of, oh, well, it's the beginning of the season. I think we're going to see the points like this from here, from week 1 all the way to the end of this championship once we have the final ASPCA 100 at New Smyrna in March 17th.
Going to be one heck of a points battle. It's at the 31 machine of Mike Holloway trapped another lap down as he got the car refired, but he's behind the pace car and in front of the leaders, so he should cycle to the back of the pack. He is 4 laps down, should become 5 when they go to take the green flag. Brian Dean, you're what is now pretty much your de facto points leader, as he came into the night, looks like 5 points behind, tied with Mike Holloway and Stefan Alphonse. And Stefan, actually, no, I stand corrected. So Stefan Alphonse should be able to take the, should be able to take the points lead here by a pretty sizable margin if he can get the victory. But the one downside is he has to start outside the top 10 if he does win tonight or finish inside the top 10. He has to start outside the top 10 for your next race. So, yeah, that's a really interesting rule here, and it keeps that points battle tight, and it kind of rewards guys who can pass under the most extreme situations.
So field is coming through now down towards that back straightaway, and the 13 of Alphonse is going to be bringing us back to green flag racing here. Big question marks though on Stefan on how that car is actually driving, because he was all sorts of loose off of corner number 4 and down this front straightaway. I think if you're Stefan, you need to get to the top side of the racetrack immediately and not have that oversteer moment through 1 and 2. Does a good job to keep it underneath them, to maintain that rear traction as we're off and away down the back straightaway. Everyone through clean this time. The fight is on for second between Donnie Moore and Kenny Kibbe.
Correction on that, I have not commentated this series in about a couple of weeks, so I've been pretty busy, and I apparently haven't forgotten the main rule. They actually invert the top 10, so if Stefan Alphonse does walk away with a victory, he will start in 10th for the next race at the bull ring. But as they start racing side by side, looks like the 69 machine of John Holcomb, he's to the outside of the 87 machine of Todd Liston, as the 88 of Greg Stafford continues to lose position after position, along with the 87 machine. That Todd Liston, he's got a lot of damage, and he's actually holding up that inside lane. So unless he gets shuffled out to the outside, that's going to really stack up that bottom lane.
And that 87 car has been nursing some damage for a while. You see that it's not often you'll see the air cleaner get bent up on a race car. And when you see that air cleaner bent up, you know that something catastrophic has happened at some point. But there's a lot of damaged race cars out here as the 73 is working the top side. That's Jeff Sharp. We've seen one outside pass work today, but not going to work just yet for Mr. Jeff Sharp. And Liston's going to take that top groove away. So Jeff's going to have to lift right out of that throttle. And Todd wants to hold on to that spot. I think this 87 car, though, Gabe, we've been seeing him limping around for a while. Now the 5 is going to try to toss his hat in the wing. That's Lil Jewel working down to the inside. But I think for Todd Liston, we've seen him nursing this damage for a while. I think he would have been fine for him. I don't think he owes us I don't think he's already come down pit road yet in this one, but I think he's been in prime position to come down and take a quick repair. I think that would have been a good chance for him, because he wouldn't lose much track position where he's running.
Yeah, but he's putting himself in danger not only from just being stuck in the middle of the pack with a slower car, but these guys get impatient behind you. They may put that front Nerf bar to you to get you moved out of the way. So it looks like he's now been shuffled to the outside lane. Now it's going to be Tim Shanoski getting around him. Jeff Sharp and now the 07 in 11th. So that'll move Shanoski up into the inside the top 10. It's back up front. Stefan Alphonse continuing to pull away here at Martinsville as we cross the halfway point.
Over halfway in this one, and Stefan Alphonse, he either has fixed a brake bias or he figured out immediately the mistake he made in towards 1, because that 13 car has been perfect since we've gone back to green flag racing, as he's managing a half-second lead here over the 26 of Donnie Moore. Kenny Kibbe just a couple tenths more back, as we have the top 3 all in a second here. Then you have Matt Janoski on his own nice little island, and then it's Greg Stafford and John Holcomb. Those two blue modifieds very, very tight as they come down the front straightaway.
I want to mention, as we cross the halfway point, we're going to do a little bit of a midway race break here. Stefan Alphonse is your leader. Donnie Moore in second. Kenny Kibbe in third. Matt Shanoski in fourth. And Greg Stafford round out your top 5. John Holcomb, Lowell Jewell in seventh. Matt LaVenture, Jeff Sharp, and Tim Shanoski, we just saw takes over the top 10 spot from your 11th place driver, Todd Liston.
So, and then, of course, going down the rest of your order here, Todd Liston, 11th, Dustin Powers, Eric Nordhoff, Mike Allen, and James Lowe. They round out your top 15 with Brian Dent, Mike Holloway, Jeff Kendrick, J.R. Shepard, Ryan Detzler, Kurt Smith, Charles Lahr, and Chip Dirkert. 23 cars that we had racing tonight. Those last handful or so drivers, half dozen or so, all 15-plus laps down in this one. As the fight for the race lead is still just getting gapped out by a little bit. Now, Alphonse is doing a good job just maintaining that gap to Donnie Moore behind, but it has been a little, that 26 car has been doing a good job of reeling that gap in slowly, lap on lap here.
I want to take the time as well as midway race break as these guys continue to just leg out that lead. iRacing on LSRTV is brought to you by Joe Real Timing. And the Outlaw Modified Series is brought to you by Joe Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, on the pit box, or in the spotter stand, JRT is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a basic download or get the pro version today at joel-real-timing.com.
Tight fight.
Stefan Alphonse continuing to leg this out, but we've seen this, guys. The fastest guy gets out front, and then he just starts to pull away here. And it took us a while. We didn't actually get the fastest driver, the Greg Stafford in the 88 machine. unfortunately got some damage. So Stefan Alphons, who started 8th, and Donnie Moore, who started 13th, we've actually seen a lot more passing in this race than we've seen in the prior 3 races.
That we've definitely have. And talking about that 88 machine, he's sort of been bringing himself back up the order here. He's just made, well, he just lost a couple spots, but he's still holding on to that 8th spot, which I think if you're in that 88 car, I think you have to be a little bit happy with. I expected him to get freight trained a little bit more, considering the fact that he was struggling with some consistency, I think, with the damage that he had on that race car. Fight is on, though, between Lowell Jewell and Matt Levenshire. Matt does a good job of getting underneath the 5 and forcing Lowell up the racetrack. That made Lowell lose some rear traction and have to move his way up. Got a little bit loose, and now that 18 car, nice physical racing here. He didn't do it. He didn't move Lowell out of the way, but he just sort of poked the nose in an awkward spot, and Lowell had to choose between giving up the spot and potentially end up facing that inside wall through 1 and 2. So well done by both drivers, and Matt's going to take that 6th spot happily.
Matt Levenshire up into the 6th position. Lowell Jewell now down to 7th, and Greg Stafford continuing to lose spots, now back to 8th. He's kind of stabilized now, so he's been able to kind of find a footing, but now Tim Shanosky in the 07 machine is to his back bumper, gaining a lot on entry, but he's gaining or losing a lot on entry, but he's gaining it back coming off of exit. I'm actually surprised as the 88 machine, he gets in way too hard. He's going to wash up the racetrack. That's going to put Shanosky to the back bumper.
That's not the kind of mistake that you ever want to see here when you make that sort of mistake on this racetrack. I think the 88 just caught the inside curve, and that's going to stack up the field a little bit here. That Stafford and Shanosky racing wheel to wheel. The 88 car, I just said he was doing a good job and makes a mistake. So the commentator's curse coming through here in this ASPCA 100. He's going to drop 1 spot immediately as Tim Shanosky, your round 1 race winner. He'll take the lead. The 88 car, big clip of the wall, entering 1, and he's running the Larson line at Martinsville. Not something you typically see. He's going to drop further down the order, and now running with Dustin Powers, last week's winner, here off towards 3 and 4. Dustin's going to be keen on picking this spot up. Say thank you very much. Maybe not quite yet. I think Greg Stafford does a good job maintaining momentum up top, but again, he kisses the wall up high, and the 25 machine is going to take it away as Greg, there's no traction on that black stuff.
And with that pass, that's actually going to put Dustin Powers in a position for the pole next week. So Dustin Powers moves up into the 10th position. Greg Stafford now outside the top 10 from leading the early opening 15 lap stint to now outside the top 10. What a night for Greg Stafford, and not the kind of good night he wanted. As Donnie Moore, he's trying to catch our leader. He's actually brought that lead down a couple of car lengths as they come off of turn number 4. What's the gap going to be? It's actually now down as the 13 machine. He continues to get loose. Looks like those tires are heating up on the 13 machine. That's Superflow modified as they come off of turn number 2 and into 3. It's loose again. Looks like the car is just really unstable under braking because he's trying to brake in a straight line, Randy, and the car is just completely upset.
Yeah, I think that's basically the situation right now for that 13 car. The car's not doing anything he really wants. So Stefan Alphons is likely playing with that brake bias as best as he can, trying to make that car do anything he can. The 18 car fights with John Holcomb in towards 3 and 4. John gets forced up the racetrack, and once again, that 18 car going to take that spot away. And that's one thing I've noticed from a few guys in this one here, Gabe. Seems like whenever someone shows the nose, they don't even want to fight them for it. We're seeing a few drivers where instead of trying to run that second groove, which is typically what you see around this Martinsville Speedway, they're trying to go up to that higher line, and when you get up there, I think the banking, it may not actually be this way, but at least it feels like it when you're in the car. It almost feels like it flattens out and you get almost a bit of a shelf up there. And second of all, the line isn't very good, and third of all, just the concrete down that you have on the inside gives so much better grip than that asphalt up top, and you're never going to be able to make a move stick trying to defend from that third row.
Well, it's also just like trying to run the outside lane of Bowman Gray Stadium. It's yeah. Bowman Gray, for any of you that are watching that don't know, it's actually built around a football field, and it's got 0 degrees of banking. So running the outside lane there is pretty much impossible. So here it's a little bit easier, but once you get up Elmont asphalt instead of the concrete, as they transition from asphalt to concrete, as you said, a lot more grip down there. I mean. And also, after a few laps, especially here as we're 3/4 of the way through tonight, the marbles start to accumulate even on the concrete there, on the outside lane of the concrete. So it's really tough to kind of just stay out there. We've seen a couple of guys. We even saw a pass for the lead on a slower car, but that was still pretty difficult. It took them a few laps to do it. And you get into 100, 200 300 lap race here at Martinsville, it's almost impossible to move anywhere else. You kind of just have to use the front bumper.
Luckily for these guys, it's on the shorter end of this one, so the marbles shouldn't be too much of a worry, but they're always going to be a concern in these race cars here as they're working up towards 3/4 distance down the back straightaway. It's actually going to be 3/4 distance here in about 1/8 of a mile time as they run through 3 and 4. Donnie Moore is still doing everything he can to reel that race lead in. It came in a 1/10.5 last time through. What happens? Can he get it under half a second? No, it goes a 1/10.5 the other way, back in favor of Stefan Alphonse, and we've been seeing that the last 20 to 30 to 40 laps. Gabe, that race lead has been ebbing and flowing back and forth. At its shortest, it was about 0.4 of a second. Then it got opened up to about 7 or 8, and now it's sort of stabilized around this 6.5, 7/10 of a second mark. And one of these drivers, they'll stretch it out one way, and then the other driver will reel it back in the other.
Just an ebb and flow, and as long as we don't get a caution and Stefan Alphonse can just keep it out front, as it looks like your pole sitter, the driver who unfortunately did not take the green flag, the 6th machine of Kurt Smith, is coming down pit road. He's now moved up to 18th, so the night not as bad as it could have been, as he's passed guys like Jeff Kendrick and J.R. Shepard and Brian Detzler, Charles Lawler, and Chip Dickard, who are all multiple laps down, 29 laps down through 68 laps down, so not the night those guys wanted. As we're now inside a quarter of a, 3/4 of a distance through this race, it's starting to run out of time, and guys in the back who are just on the edge of, kind of, they're on the back bumper of somebody. We get close to the end here, Randy. These guys are not going to want to just kind of lay over and go, oh yeah, well, I'll let you have the position. They're going to start using that back bumper, or that front Nerf bar a lot more.
Of course, talking about that, we've been mentioning the gap between first and second. You have the second train of cars that's basically been locked together since the drop of the green flag. Donnie Moore, Kenny Kibbe, Matt Chinoski, Matt Levenshire, John Holcomb, 2nd through 6th. So 5 cars here that are all just nose to tail, and inside 20 laps to go as we come across the stripe right here, right now. Kenny Kibbe's been locked to the back of Donnie Moore for so long, and that gap to Stefan Alphonse is getting so big that I think you're going to start throwing patience out the window and stop saying, hey, look, I don't want to throw any moves yet, and give up that gap and potentially open that gap to that race leader out in front. There's not enough time to reel them in. I think if you're Kenny Kibbe, you start assaulting Donnie Moore right here, right now.
As we're looking at that, the 13 machine of Stefan Alphonse, for the first time tonight, he's encountering lap traffic. He just got past Mike Holloway in the 31 machine. Now he's to the back bumper of Eric Nordhoff from the 22. Both those drivers go high as contact between the 14 machine and the 26 machine of Donnie Moore coming out of turn number 4. That's going to open up the door for the 00 of Matt Chinoski as they go into turn number 1. He's going to keep it pinned there on the inside lane. He's going to get tight coming off. And look at the battle now as the 18 machine of LaVenture. He goes to the bottom trying to take over 4th.
Matt Chinoski at risk of dropping a spot here as we're approaching 10 laps to go, and he's going to work the momentum up top and end up working out. Matt Levenshire from behind, it didn't quite have the momentum here to be able to work down the inside. Just the way the racing lines worked out is a really, really awkward situation with the lap traffic, which is another one of the things that you get around this racetrack at Martinsville, off down towards your front straightaway once again. And Donnie Moore, because of that little checkup, has been able to open himself up a nice little margin here over that 3rd place runner of Kenny Kibbe as we're approaching 10 to go.
Starting to single file out yet again, looking back through your field to see if there's any battles on the racetrack. Don't see any, but that little hiccup actually cost Donnie Moore, Kenny Kibbe, and Chinoski a lot of time. It's now almost 1 second between Alphonse and the 26 of Donnie Moore. It's a big push as Donnie Moore, he charges it into turn number 1, makes up a couple car lengths, and unfortunately you do that, you start to lose it coming off, because he's actually gotten it down by about a 1/10. So Donnie Moore, he's starting to slowly close in here, Randy, and he's bringing the 14 of Kenny Kibbe with him.
Does he have the time, though? Well, he's not closing in on the timing beams. It was 7.5 tenths last time through. The lap before that, it was 7. So half a tenth goes in favor of the 13 of Alphonse. So I think for right now, it's Donnie Moore. I think he's making up time a little bit in the corners, but tossing it back to the 13 machine on the straightaways as it come across the timing beams once again. And this time it goes again, another half tenth in favor of Stefan Alphonse. So if you're Donnie Moore, you're not making up any ground whatsoever, and you're throwing it away. And if you're Kenny Kibbe, you're likely going to be seeing that, and that's going to make you very, very antsy wanting to get that move, because that 14 machine last couple laps been one of the quickest race cars on the racetrack, followed by Shinosky and even Leventure behind. So right now for that 26 machine of Donnie Moore, if he's dropping off a little bit, although he just took up a big chunk of time out of that 13, he's got a lot of fast race cars chomping at the bit in his mirror.
These guys still fighting as Stefan Alphonse continues to pull away here. 10 laps to go next time by. And I think these guys are pretty much giving up as Matt Shinosky goes way wide into turn number 1. He's going to push up the racetrack. He's going to lose a spot to the 18 of Matt Leventure as they go into turn number 3. And a wave goodbye to the top 5, or excuse me, as the 4th spot for Matt Shinosky is Leventure. He's now to the back bumper of Kenny Kibbe. We've seen Leventure be really aggressive trying to work his way up to the field. He started 19th, now up to 4th, so he's by far your biggest mover. How aggressive is he going to be to try and get inside the top 3 to get into the podium spots? Here's we're inside 10 laps to go now, and it's 8.5 tenths up from between 1st and 2nd. And as looks like a big run coming off of turn number 4 for the 18 machine. He's to the inside. The 14 is not going to give him the room. And how many times can the 14 machine to Kenny Kibbe do that before the 18 sends him up the racetrack?
The adventure is going to continue for Leventure here. He's up 15 spots, and he wants to make it 16 as he's fighting with the 14 of Kenny Kibbe. Gets a good run off corner number 4. Might be able to make something of this into 1 and 2. Gets himself inside. Kenny Kibbe's going to have to try to make it work up top. We've not seen that, but he does a good job angling off the corner. Makes that 18 of Matt Leventure have to keep it tight. Because of that, Kenny Kibbe able to keep that momentum as we're approaching 5 laps to go. And Matt Leventure, you know he wants that podium here. There's a few big movers here up towards the front of the field. Donnie Moore's up 11 as he runs in the 2nd spot. Up 15, like we said, is Matt Leventure. Also have John Holcomb up 10. He runs 6th.
Donnie Moore got that lead down by about a 10th or so. Yeah, Brandy, it's still happening, an ebb and flow of that lead. It looks like it's coming down yet again. So Donnie Moore, he's just got to get consistent here as they come to the line. What's the gap going to be? Another 10th. So now down to 6 tenths of a second. It's moved down 2.5 since we just talked about it. The problem is, as soon as Donnie Moore closes in, I think he just starts to step on Alphonse, picks it up just a little bit here. It's now down to about 3 car lengths in the middle of the corner, and it stretches out to about 5. As now Kenny Kibbe, he gets the run coming off the corner. Is he going to put the bumper to it? No. As the 26, he's going to charge it into turn number 1. He's going to run wide, and he's going to keep that position for now. But how long is he going to be able to hold it off as the 18 of Leventure, he goes to the outside.
This is not going to do that 26 of Donnie Moore any favors as they work themselves down the front straightaway. Almost 3 wide as Matt Leventure is looking to the top side of the racetrack. He wants to make it. Plus 17. Can he put the move here on Donnie Moore? Tires have gone away. Outside groove is working as that 18 car comes from 19th on the grid to slot himself into 2nd for now. Donnie Moore fights down low, clips that inside curve, and that's not going to do him any favors as Matt Leventure crosses the stripe in that 2nd spot inside of 3 laps to go in this one. And Stefan Alphonse is looking in his mirror saying thanks for the margin, boys, as Matt Shinosky is going to try to get a run on Donnie Moore, but Donnie shuts the door.
What a move from the 18 machine. He did a great job working around the outside. Matt Shinosky, he gets turned around. He's going to keep it going straight. As they come off of turn number 4, Shinosky around. Caution is out. That's going to end it. Your 3rd and 4th place runners, Kenny Kibbe and Matt Shinosky. Shinosky made a great move around the outside. It was actually your 4th and 5th place. They went into turn number 3. The 14 machine made the move, and looks like he just got into the rear bumper of the 00. And that sent him around. Ended up sending him in front of John Holcomb in the 69 machine in a big spin. Like just an isolated incident, but that will end it. As Stefan Alphonse, he's going to get behind the pace car. The pace car will be the first person to cross the start-finish line. But it's going to be your first driver on the racetrack is going to be Stefan Alphonse.
So it's a physical start to this race, and then about the middle half all the way up to the end was pretty much clean, but it's going to be a very, very physical end. But for the 13 of Stefan Alphonse, he'll be all right with that as he's going to take the win in the ASPCA 100 here at Martinsville. And Matt Leventure, he's going to be very happy in that 2nd spot as well as they've come across the timing beam, and that is going to do it for this one tonight. What a run that was, Gabe, through that last 100 laps. It was sort of a quiet race through the middles phase after all those yellows that we got stacking up. I think we got 3 or 4 all right in a row. That middle 50 or so laps, nice and quiet, and it paid off big time. A bit of a slow burner, but it erupted right there at the end.
As these drivers run their cool down lap, coming to pit road, Stefan Alphonse is going to pull it to Martinsville victory lane. He is your winner. Second place, Matt Levenshire. He did a great job passing 2 cars on the outside. He moves into second spot. Donnie Moore comes home in the final spot on the podium with John Holcomb and Lowell Jewell rounding out your top 5. Tim Shanoski started 22nd, up to 6th with Jeff Sharp, Kenny Kibbe, and Dustin Powers and Todd Liston rounding out your top 10.
On the rest of your field here, Greg Stafford, he started 3rd tonight. He ended up on the pole once that pole sitter was not able to make the field. That was, of course, your 6th car of Kurt Smith, and he's going to finish 11th. Unfortunately for him, 1 spot out of starting on the pole next week. Mike Allen in 12th, James Lowe 13th. Now we're getting the rest of the guys of Matt Chinovsky, Eric Nordoff, Brian Dean as well, Mike Holloway, and other guys who had a really bad night. Kurt Smith, Jeff Kendrick, J.R. Shepard, Ryan Detzler, Charles Lahr, and Chip Dickert. So we're not going to waste any time whatsoever as we get into the post-race interviews, and I'm going to be stood by with that 13 car of Stefan Alphonse. Stefan, it was a good run for you in that number 13 machine. Pink and white car has been strong this season, pretty much this entire season. You've always been in and amongst it in the top 5 or so. Tonight, things went your way. You bring the victory home, the ASPCA 100. How was that 13 car tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like on rails, except for that one moment after the caution, but it was driving really good. I just love this place. I don't know.
Now, I noticed your club is day at. What time is it where you currently live?
3:46 a.m.
It's not that late. That's about the time I usually wake up for some of the coverage I do at Race Spot, but that's beside the point. But Stefan, it was a fantastic race for you. Like you said, the car was perfect except for that little incident down in towards corner number 1. What actually happened there?
I don't know. I guess I got a little nervous on the restart and missed the gear, and then just drove it in way too hard and lost the rear.
Well, outside of that, you look pretty flawless tonight, Stefan. Congratulations on the big win here in round number 4. Going to have to start from the 10th place, of course, next week when we go to the bull ring, but you get a full 7 days of being happy before that happens. But before we let you go, any shout-outs, who would you like to thank after the run tonight?
As always, I want to just shout out each and every one of the guys I'm racing, because this series is just so much fun. And I also want to give shout outs to ASPCA, a great organization. Make sure to check out what they do.
Well, thanks once again, Stefan, and good luck at Vegas.
Thank you.
Moving on down the order, Mr. Gabe Wood, he's going to stood by with Matt Levenshire, who, like I said, had quite the adventure tonight, up 17 spots from 19th to 2nd, and I wonder how he feels about getting beat in a modified from someone in Europe.
I feel like he's going to feel pretty good about moving from 19th up to 2nd. Down here with Matt Levenshire, 18 machine was on the move tonight. Matt, congratulations on 2nd. How do you feel your race went?
I got real lucky missing Rex. Stefan did an awesome job. He was flying. They're late in the race. It was so much fun with these guys. It's been a while since I raced with them. So tonight was about luck missing Rex and then getting a race with Donnie and the rest of these guys at the end. That was a blast.
Well, Matt, we saw you were kind of stuck there in the 4th position, or excuse me, the 5th spot, and you were just kind of riding, and then you got the opportunity, and we thought, you could try and make the move on the inside lane. You just proved us all wrong. Moved to the outside and blew past the 2 cars on the outside, or excuse me, on the inside lane. Do you think if you had made that move earlier, you would have been able to catch our leader?
I don't know. He was running so clean, and luckily those 2 were super focused on each other. So when they were playing chicken down the straightaway for the inside, it just left the outside open. I don't know if that would have been possible if they hadn't been racing each other so hard, but like always, good clean racing up front there, and that was a blast.
Well, congratulations, Ed. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
ASPCA for sponsoring the race, Lowell Jewell for putting the whole thing together, and you guys for doing what you do.
Congratulations, Matt. Now we're going to go ahead and turn to my right and talk to the driver who finished in 3rd, Donnie Moore. Never got to the lead. You got close, and you started to reel in Stefan Alphonse, and then he started to pull away again. What was causing that? Were you just inconsistent on your line, or was he just kind of waiting for you to reel him in to kind of pull away again?
Yeah, it's probably more inconsistency on my part. Yeah, he drove a real smooth, fast race. So hats off to him.
Well, it might be something to think about going to a practice session and work on some consistency, because you were fast as well, and it may have looked like you had a little bit faster of a car, Donnie. So, you may want to put that in the back of your mind and just kind of say at the bull ring, you'll be starting, looks like maybe 7th or 8th, trying to do the math here in my head, but you'll start in the back. You started 13th here. It's kind of a little bit easier to pass at the bull ring. You got a little bit more room. What do you think going into next week?
I'll have a better starting spot than 13th. That's for sure. So that ought to be better. I was just fortunate tonight to miss a couple of early incidents, and that's what got me to the front there, or close to it. And hats off to Matty L too. Matt LaVenture would have passed on the outside, but I've seen that before.
All right, Donnie, congratulations. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Hey, tonight's sponsor, the ASPCA, go and adopt an elderly dog. You'd be doing a great deed.
All right, Donnie, congratulations, and we're looking forward to the race next week, along with everybody in your top 3 and everybody who started tonight's race. 23 starters, and had one heck of a race, and a green flag run to the end almost was interrupted by a caution there at the end. Donnie, congratulations on your podium finish.
Thanks, man.
We'll throw it back up to Randy, and Randy for closing thoughts.
Well, it was a pretty good one, I think, Gabe, and I think we're going to have an interesting one as well when we go to Vegas. I've not seen much action from the bull ring. Like I said, I do a lot of the other stuff on some of the let's say competitors to LSRTV, so that I think is going to be an exciting night of action in Vegas.
Yeah, and a good night for Stefan Alfons in the 13 machine, because he came into the night second in points, but he with J.R. Shepard getting taken out, Brian Dean and Mike Holloway both finishing laps down and in the back, he looks primed to take over the points lead.
Yeah, he certainly does, and what a disappointing night for J.R. Shepard. I think you come in with the points lead, you're not going to be a very happy camper to be leading with this race while you were leading the points and have to go away from that, away from tonight, having such a big incident. But be sure not to go away here on LSRTV, because well, that is going to do it for the Bootleg Racing Series and the Outlaw Modified cars. We're going to have the United Sim Racing B&C Lawn and Care Truck Series coming at you in just a moment for round number 14 live from Daytona. So stay tuned here on LSRTV.